Now we bring this conversation, what Darrel and I are talking about, to the present, because spirituality means very little if it can't help us live differently today. What does recovery actually look like? How do you help someone who you love? What happens when you realize you can't do it alone? Darrel answers leads us towards three powerful ideas: unity, recovery, and service. And toward a simple but profound challenge: learning to love someone until they learned how to love themselves. So, Darrel, you were telling us about all the steps and relating this to spiritual information. So, please tell us we were talking about the first six steps, and you had them classified differently. So, just a brief recap of these steps and your classifications, please.
Yeah. Well, my premise here is that the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous provide us with the exact toolkit and process that we need to develop and live a complete spiritual existence, as it is described in the Urantia book. That is the beauty of it. The Urantia book talks about the description of the whole thing, but the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous are the footprints. They are
Okay.
los 12 pasos.
Yeah,
They are
correct.
I like to share in meetings that the 12 steps, we have it on the wall, and I will point majestically to those 12 steps, and I will say, this, my friends, as the Led Zeppelin song of 1969 said, this is the stairway to heaven.
Great.
This is a stairway. This is the stairway to heaven, and I really believe that. It's wonderful that we stopped after the first 12 or first six steps, because that is a great halfway point. In AA, recovery from drugs and alcohol is just the beginning. We'll find that once we've done those first six steps, at some point, usually around a year or sometimes more, sometimes less, persons will have the obsession to drink alcohol or use drugs lifted. And that is an amazing thing. When you are suffering from alcoholism or drug addictiveness, the problem that it presents is that it becomes such a obsessive behavior. And any alcoholic will tell you that it's really.
You said the word, it was chase, right? You were chasing. What was the expression that you used, or you were chasing that, right? The feeling, or are you doing that?
It's craving. Craving
Craving.
Yes, craving is, that is one of the descriptions. Doctors and medical professionals have had a very difficult time trying to explain the disease of alcoholism, and we read at every meeting that it's a mysterious thing, because of course medicine will say that there should be a cure for this. There should be some pill or some medicine that you can take that will end this craving and this spiritual hunger. But it is a spiritual hunger, and it is related. It's related to our free will and to the spirit of truth. That's what I've come to
That's
understand.
interesting. That's
It
interesting.
is, and so the idea, what we say about it in the program, is that science may one day find a cure for alcoholism, but it hasn't done so yet. And that's very true. That's very true. And in recovery, there comes a point where once you make this surrender to that's done in the first six steps, at some point, recovery people will turn around and say, "Hey, man, I haven't thought about drinking all day. I haven't thought about drinking since I don't know when." And suddenly we realize that this craving, this absolute obsession, has been lifted. And that's the miracle, because before that, when we are in our addiction, there isn't a minute that goes by that we're not thinking about getting drunk or craving or wanting to pick up and use. And that's what happens when a person is in that addiction. They get up in the morning and they're going to reach for a drink because it cures the hangover, because it becomes this cycle. So that's a fascinating part about it. Now, the next six steps have to do with maintaining this spirituality.
Okay.
I wish I don't have the 12 steps in front of me, doggone it. I'm going to try to wing it. The seventh
No worries,
step.
no worries.
Okay.
As
The
long as we
seventh
get
step.
the message across, that's what's important.
Okay. Well, the seventh step has to do with asking God to continue to correct and relieve our personality defects that we have
Okay.
discovered. By after doing the fourth and fifth step, we now have a list of what we call
Yeah.
character defects. And we are noticing that, hey, I'm the kind of person I am impatient. I'm insecure. So I have a tendency to want to cut you off. I have a tendency to want to be noticed. I have a tendency to want to be appreciated in certain ways. All of these things that we call character defects and little personality flaws. We have now loaded those into our awareness and we are working on them. Working the 12 steps is an awesome thing because 1 through 12, they are the toolbox that we have to improve our character, to make
Got
ourselves
it.
better. We have
Good.
also ideas about being rigorously honest. So we start to catch ourselves lying. We start to make sure that we do amends. The eighth step, um, the six and seven steps are basically becoming willing to let God correct us and then asking God to continue correcting
Okay.
us. And then the eighth step is another one about inventory. It's we make a list of all the people that we have harmed, and we become willing to make amends to them all. Okay. So that's when we make a list of all the money we stole. That's when we make a list of anybody that we lied to. That's when we make a list of all of the things that we did that we are ashamed of with others. Okay. And we make that list again on paper and we make it thorough and honest. And if we have stolen money from somebody, we get ready to pay them back. And we do this to the penny. We don't ever
Okay.
overlook it. We make sure that everything that we can think of is corrected. Step number 9 is we make amends to these people wherever possible, except when to do so would harm them or others. And there are times when, for example, if we are married and we have had affairs, well, we want to go to our wives. Do we want to admit that? Maybe, maybe not. So we have to make
Yeah, it
those.
depends on
It
what's
does.
the effect. I mean, if
That's right.
maybe yeah, you were in this situation, you really repented, and you don't want to just throw the rest of your life away, you know.
That's right. And why
Uh,
harm them? So that is a very careful evaluation of our wrongs, and we make that with our sponsor. See,
okay.
that's something that we do. We make this list of the people that we're going to go and make amends to, and before we go and face them, we clear this with our sponsor. We get his or her take on this, and that way we avoid making dumb mistakes because
Yeah.
we are the people who have apologized countless times when
Yeah.
I'm drunk,
Yeah.
and I've already apologized. Oh, this will never happen again, and
Yeah.
then the next night I'm drunk.
Exactly.
So we
Exactly.
so we have to take very, very good care of that. So if there are many times there will be people that we owe an apology or an amends to that have died. So generally, our sponsor will say you write them a letter and then you take it to their grave.
Okay.
And then there's the last part of that is the most important part is that we make living amends. And this is something that we do just by being sober. If it's not practical for me to make amends to somebody, just being sober and continuing to lead a good life and acknowledging those past wrongs is making a living amends
Okay.
to
Got
them
it.
just by continuing to be a decent and good, wonderful human being.
Mending your ways, basically.
Yeah, yeah. Now that's 9 steps that we are done with. Step number 10, 11, and 12 are absolutely beautiful. Step number 10 is one of my very favorites. It says, we continue to take personal inventory. That means we're looking at all of our moral decisions. And when we are wrong, we promptly admit it.
Now it's you have a responsibility not only to be aware, but to take responsibility and change
Yes.
that pattern, right?
Yeah. And
Got it.
that, I like to, I'm really having fun with the 10 step recently, because admitting that I'm wrong, I always say, I tell people to go through the 12 steps as you're doing them and reword them in your own language. And for example, the 10th step for me, it says literally, continue to take personal inventory, and when we're wrong, promptly admit it. Well, for me, that means, hey, continue to be a good human being and realize and admit that I probably don't know shit about just a ton of
Exactly.
stuff.
Exactly.
That's it.
Exactly.
So
Good.
that is a wonderful thing for me, because I've noticed in life, and this is just my personal 10th step experience right now. I've noticed that in culture, we, especially as males, have a real aversion to changing our mind. We don't want to admit that we're wrong. If I have a position about something, by golly, I'm going to stay on that. I'm not going to
Yeah.
be changing. Well, what the heck's the matter with changing our
On
minds?
the contrary, I think that's, and I was just talking to another guest about this. That's that when really you find transformation, when you change your mind, when you really find the way to
Exactly.
break out of it. Yeah.
I'm particularly loving the experience of that 10th step right now. And the last two steps really are very much awesome in terms of the Urantia book. Step number 11 says, we sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry out that. So again, that is of affirmation of asking the Spirit of Truth to be with us and asking our thought adjuster to be with us. That's what step
That's it.
11
Yeah, and
is.
it's really, yeah, it's really elevated, and it is true. Any that's the total surrender. Once you know you're powerless, and I think this affirmation is really powerful. So thank
It
you.
is. It's absolutely wonderful. And the 12th step is the one that we end things with. And it says, oh gosh, I hope I get this right. Having had a spiritual awakening as the result of these steps, uh, we keep these concepts in our heart, and we go forth in life. Having had a spiritual awakening, we continue to practice these principles in all of our affairs. That's what it is.
And yeah, and this is one that I like because it goes beyond just recovery and this process, but everything in life that you do, you approach it through these recognition
Yes.
of divinity and this process, which is what I like, and that's something that really attracted me about or interested me about this AA and and the 12 steps, and like you were saying, and I want to get your take on the idea, that you found, some not coincidences, but I mean, truth is universal, so it's not a coincidence. It's there. You find it in one place or the other, but you found these same truths and conclusions that it's unity, recovery, and service. It's that is how you live your life and you apply it. So how can you explain to our guests how they can live their lives in that unity and that service and that recovery if they need to?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, unity, recovery, and service are just exactly the same as truth, beauty, and goodness. And I call these the names of God.
Okay.
Truth, yeah, truth is the name of Christ. But these are these are the names of God, and I I had a young girl who was a brand newcomer named Jean, and she came into AA in her very first meeting, and she said, I want to raise my frequency. I want to lift my frequency up. And I came home after that first meeting, and I went to sleep that night, and I had a dream that just putting our consciousness close to the terms of truth, beauty, and goodness, just contemplating them, just thinking about those, just becoming close to the ideas, the names of God: unity, recovery, service, truth, beauty, goodness, perseverance.
They're
All of these,
mantras. They're powerful
they
words.
they are, and they raise our consciousness. And this is doing a 12 step. This is doing the 12 step. We could, having had a spiritual awakening, we keep these principles in all of our affairs. So just by coming to a meeting, just by being sober, just by being, what our mantra is happy, joyous, and free. That's what we get. Just
Got it.
doing these things shows and is a reflection. It's, as the Urantia book will talk about, it's showing the fruits of our spirit. And so that's really what it's all about. That kind of just wraps it up pretty darn well.
Yeah.
I would again, I would just conclude by saying that I wish, many times I have thought this, and I hear this in meetings a lot. I wish that every human being was able to come to Alcoholics Anonymous, whether they're drinking or not. We have a saying in AA: the only requirement for membership in AA is a desire to quit drinking. You do not have to have your life in wreckage. And of course, in AA meetings, visitors and guests are always welcome in open meetings. And so for any of our Urantia book people who are not familiar with the 12-step program, I invite you to seek out AA meetings in your area and come and check them out.
And
Come and
not
check.
only them, but our audience in large. I mean, this is a very
Yeah,
interesting offering that you have for anybody that really is struggling and has
absolutely.
somebody in their lives or maybe themselves. So this is something really important. And I think it was a very important topic. And in the end, as we've learned many times and again, everything is possible through God. And this is the one of the most challenging, but one of the most important processes that we have to go with God, through God, which is a recovery. And just how Darrel lays it out is something that, although challenging, with the strength of God and being able to have our will aligned to His and surrender, and becoming what He wants us to become is what's important. So great, Darrel. Before we leave, any other closing remarks?
Uh, no, just that alcoholism is an amazing disease. There is not, we have sayings about it. There is not one family on the planet that does not have someone in it who is suffering from the disease of alcoholism. It is not as far away as some people might imagine.
Yeah,
Uh, uh, statistically, sadly, the statistics for recovery are not all that encouraging. We're blessed if we are able to overcome our alcoholism. But if you are struggling with any type of uh, problems with drugs or alcohol, please reach out. Life is much better and
yeah,
happier when we
very
are
important.
free from drugs and alcohol. And again, this is, if you are looking for the steps of how to have a wonderful life, that's where you'll find them. So
Definitely, definitely.
thank you, Santiago.
No, definitely. And just to conclude a little bit on what you said, life is too beautiful and powerful to give away. So yes, please seek help for any of your loved ones if you're in need. So thanks for your time, Darrel. It was a pleasure. We'll definitely continue some other time our conversation. And to all of you that watched us, thank you for joining us. Remember that if you liked the podcast, share, like, and subscribe. And if also you liked what we're talking about and you want to share with some other people, maybe they find something interesting in what we're conversing, please do so. And remember, take care, carpe diem. Until next time. On the Divine Within podcast, we share real conversations to help you find a personal connection with God. My goal is to support your faith, growth, and journey toward discovering the divine within yourself. Join us to deepen your faith and spiritual journey.